This is Audible.
Calculated in Death by J.D. Robb. Performed by Susan Erickson. Chapter 12. She'd expected worry, concern, stroking and soothing, so his matter-of-fact comment threw her off balance. Probably his devious plan, she decided, to trick her into going to a health center. Thanks. It was an unexpected play. At the very least. How bad is it? Not very. I took a blocker. So I heard. Well, let's have a look. Now she smiled. You just want to get me naked. My life's work, he said as he walked to her. He could see in her eyes it was more than not very. As it is, I'll tend to that myself. He started to draw her sweater up and off, heard her hiss of pain. Okay, ouch! Just a second. She pressed her hand on her shoulder, trying to re-angle, decrease the twinge. She saw the change in his eyes, that flash of ice-blue heat, and knew he thought, as she did, of McQueen. The same shoulder, he said gently. It figures, doesn't it? It's ouch, but mostly just sore. I'll cut the sweater off. The hell you will! This is that cashmere stuff, and I like this sweater. Is that so? Yeah, that's so. I can like a sweater. It's soft, and it's warm, and we're not hacking it up. We'll just go easy, okay? All right, then. Keeping his eyes trained on her face, he brushed the back. On the high line? No, he fired at me below the high line. And she realized, belatedly, she just told her husband she'd been fired on without any kind of preparation. I heard the whine of the stream, not sure why, and felt this thudding between my shoulder blades. So your most excellent, still-in-development anti-stun material has now been field-tested. She held up a thumb, gave it a jerk up. That's desperation, she continued, and more impulse and stupidity. Firing a stream at a couple of cops in the middle of the meatpacking district, with people swarming everywhere? It was a damn good shot, which tells me it's not the first time he's fired a stunner, which tells me, since there's no way he's a pro and has weapons illegal to civilians at his disposal, he's been on the job, in the military or part of a paramilitary deal. Possibly he's got a collector's license, but I'm leaning toward military. Former, and currently in the employ of one of my bigwigs as security or personal bodyguard, something along those lines. She heard the hum of a healing wand, felt the mild pressure. Stunning you wouldn't have accomplished anything. He'd need to finish it. Yeah. I caught the movement, mostly just the movement. He'd have hit Peabody next, and she doesn't have the magic lining. I tackled her. We both probably have some bruises from that, now that I think of it. When I rolled over and up, I didn't get a solid look again. All those people. But again, my sense is he was moving in, figuring I took her down when I fell from the stun. He'd just need to get to us, take us both out at point blank, and get gone. Sloppy. Brash and sloppy, but he thought fast, moved fast. I'm not sure I'd have caught him even without the flying toddler. Security cameras must have captured him. You must have his face. Not so much. Ski cap, sunshades, scarf. And he kept his head down. He's not a complete idiot. We sent what we've got in, and they'll run facial recognition. If he was in the military or on the job, we could get lucky with that. I've got some basics. He's a big guy, about 6'4", $2.50. Strong build, strong. I really think he played some ball. Arena ball or football, so it's another angle to poke at. He could have snapped the Vic's neck. He's got the muscle for it. And as he'd attempt to kill 2 cops in broad daylight, in a crowded area, the nerve and the lack of, let's say, moral center. Turn over now. Let's see what I can do about those pretty breasts. They've been prettier. Still mine, he murmured, gently kissing both when she turned. Attached to me. I take a dim view of someone who'd bruise my wife's pretty breasts. You're saying it like that to get a rise out of me. You do happen to be my wife, he reminded her, and used a gentle hand with the cold pack. And they are very pretty breasts. Chucky had a head like a brick, but she smiled. It feels better. Why don't you lose all those clothes so I'm not naked all by myself? He gave her bad shoulder a little poke, made her hiss. That was mean. And why I'm not naked. He put another cold pack on the shoulder. It hurt, she realized, but she supposed in a good way. Who knew? It's Alexander Pope Parzari Ingersoll, or young Biden, and the gleam light in her eyes. He picked her up, taking care, gave her a soft, warm kiss as he carried her into the bath, and slowly, gently, lowered her into the warm, frothing water. Oh, God, yes! She moaned in glorious relief. That's what I mean. Relax, he said again. Hey! She scowled after him when he walked out. She wanted some sex, so what? Some nice, loosen up the aches in the bubbling tub sex. Bubbling tub? He'd put something in, she realized with a sniff. Something that smelled good and probably had some medicinal purpose. She gave him a steady stare when he came back with her wine, with a second glass, and with some sort of cream in a bottle. What's that? Something that will help ease up that shoulder. Have some wine. He passed hers off, set down the rest as he finished undressing. That's more like it. I haven't finished giving you my report, have I? On the sudden uncomfortable thought, she studied her glass with suspicion. You didn't trank the wine, did you? You took a blocker like a good girl. You've tolerated the ice packs with minimal complaint and had a session with the wand. You're stiff and sore and will be tomorrow, but you don't need a trank. Still, the shoulder troubles me. I bet it troubles me more. You don't take stupefying love into account. Stupefying, she said, as he eased in behind her. Not even love could make you stupid. I'm in this boiling pot, aren't I? Here now. He rubbed the cream between his... Forgets it. Mira would probably say something about his inner child. I just figure his inner child needs a good spanking. Whatever was in the cream, she thought, definitely did the job. I don't know if he's smart enough to screw around with the books, to skim or twist around some deal. Plus, he'd just figure he was entitled to it anyway. But I could see him ordering up a murder to get his hands on something that wasn't his. Somebody else's data. But only if he knew what the hell to do with it. That's a puzzler. The younger Biden in young Biden would know. He's smarter, cagier, more ambitious, and I'm told fairly ruthless. Yeah, that jibes with my information. He also has a quick trigger on his temper. He enjoys the life he's been born into, and why shouldn't he? But at the same time, he comes across as someone never really satisfied. There's a cold, cruel streak from my research there, both in business and in his personal life. You spent some time on this. It's not difficult to get people talking. Gossip is one of the fuels of business. I have some nibbles on some of the others in the files you gave me. I'll want those, but it's going to come down to one of these 4 or a combination of them. Cautiously, she rolled her shoulder, barely felt a twinge. It's better. A lot. Maybe you won't have to do all the work after all. I disagree. No point in overtaxing an injury. Relax. I am relaxed. Not enough. Gently, he stroked his cream-slicked hands over her breasts. Chucky wasn't the only one who flew. What? Watched her. For all. Forever. Because he filled her, lifted her, loved her, she floated away, and linking her hand with his, floated away with him. Chapter 13. Better, Eve thought, when she switched to work mode. She wouldn't want to go hand-to-hand with the Zeused-up chemi head, but she could if she had to. And she was pretty sure, considering the circumstances, she could talk Rourke into pizza and brainstorming at her desk. In her office, she went for caffeine. Cold style in a tube of Pepsi, while he had another glass of wine. And for comfort in one of her oldest T-shirts, a pair of navy flannel pants, and thick socks. If work didn't beckon, it was just the sort of thing she'd put on to curl up with Rourke and watch one of his old vids. But work beckoned. So, I thought I could bounce some things off you while... Didn't we just do that in the tub? Perv. She gestured with her icy tube toward her board. I'm getting a more rounded picture of some of the players from your POV. The business guy's POV. Maybe, using that same POV, I can get some more hypotheticals, run more probabilities. We can do that. Great. We can bounce and eat. Let's keep it simple. Just grab some pizza. We can't do that. I'd say the evening calls for something a bit more nutritious after the day you had. I'm not that hungry. She felt her cheesy pie slipping out of reach. I feel okay. Plus, pizza gets a bad nutrition rap. Mm-hmm. With that, he left her for the kitchen. Probably in their programming gruel or broth, she thought with a little bitterness. And she felt stuck as he'd taken care of her and was, as usual, willing to devote a large portion of his evening to her work. So she'd choked down the stupid gruel. She went to her board, did some additions, some rearranging. She couldn't see, not really, the difference between her top suspects. On the surface, sure, plenty of differences, but she didn't get them. She pulled out her pocket link when it signaled, noted Peabody on the display. Yeah? Hey, I'm sending you my notes from the interviews with the exes. I don't know how much light they shed, but I can tell you I got an earful from Biden's last ex. Can you spell bitter? She glanced over as Rourke brought something out from the kitchen, thought of pizza versus gruel. Yeah, I can. Whitestone's last serious relationship's mostly sad, a little resentful. It's the spent more time at work and with his friends than with me routine. Ingersoll doesn't really have a genuine ex, more like several women he sees or stops seeing off and on. The upshot there is fun guy, but commitment phobic. I'll look at it, she said, as Rourke went out, came in again. I didn't hit up Newton's fiancée, figuring she's only going to tell me the good, but I thought it wouldn't hurt to try for some juice on him. I tried a couple of her friends. That's a good angle. I thought it would be, and if happy in love suited, perfect for each other, adorable and so on are what we're after, it was a great angle. Just no dish in that area. No dish is still information. Okay, I really tagged you to see how you were. Are you okay? I'm good. There's a vid of the catch. Well, a couple of them all over the internet, all over the screen. So I hear. It was a really sweet catch. And too damn bad none of the people doing the vid got a decent capture of the suspect we were chasing. We'll have EDD see if they can finesse anything there. Meanwhile, the two auditors in Vegas are being transported back, and straight to Steuben Health and Wellness. Meet me at the ambulance bay, 800. I'll be there. Maybe you can get checked out while we're there. I'm fine, Peabody. And to dispense with any more fussing, she cut her partner off. She wandered over to see what Rourke had set on the table. Some sort of stir-fry, she noted. Some sort of healthy deal, his dinner version of oatmeal. It wasn't gruel, but... That's a lot of vegetables. It is, and if you eat them like a good girl... He lifted the silver lid on another plate, revealed a small pizza with pepperoni arranged into a smiley face. She tried to give him a stony stare, but the laugh won out. You think you're cute, don't you, pal? Adorable. In this case, you can have adorable. Ow! She managed the stony stare when he slapped her hand away from the pizza. Vegetables first. Now the stony stare came naturally. I've pummeled men for less. Want to give it a go? He offered, and forked up a bite of his stir-fry. I might, except the smiley pizza earns points. She tried the stir-fry, discovered it wasn't half bad. In fact, not bad at all with whatever sauce he'd programmed. It actually had a nice little bite to it. As me. You know business leaders the way I never will. You understand that world because you live in it. I'm just asking if you were me, which one would you give the hardest look? It surprised him how much he wanted to backpedal. He was used to watching her pick her way through the people, the evidence, the timing, the reasons, used to enjoying the way her mind and instincts played together on her hunt. And if I'm wrong? If I lead you in the wrong direction? Direction's what I want, right or wrong. It's up to me to figure out what to do, how to do it, and up to me to take the direction or not. You're the expert here. I'm consulting you. I want your opinion. All right, then. Sterling Alexander. Why? Starts with elimination. He rose, and as she so often did, circled her board. Young Sachs. Use your deadly sins here as a springboard. He's got more sloth than greed or lust. He'd prefer to do nothing at all, and has an admin who knows more than he does about his company. That's laziness and carelessness. No one should know more than you do about your own. And if he wanted more, he'd just ask his mother. He's got no reason to cheat or steal, and hasn't enough ambition to do either. And he's just not smart enough. I liked him. Did you? I mean, I liked him for it, because I didn't like him otherwise. And that's been part of the problem. They all gave me a buzz, one way or the other. Very possibly you get a buzz because your instincts tell you none of them are thoroughly clean. They've all got pockets where they tuck some dirty little secrets. Maybe. Young Sachs flaunting his illegals use and his complete lack of competence as CFO. He's using the company out of breath when he cocked an eyebrow. I'm the expert on this one, he reminded her. Yeah. She grabbed up the dishes on her way to the kitchen to deal with the coffee. "You know," he said from behind her, "we could have a droid take care of that, clearing the dishes, serving the coffee. I see enough of Somerset." Amusing. I thought so. She shoved the dishes in the washer. Why would we need a droid looming around up here? Especially since they almost always gave her the mild creeps. It only takes a minute to deal with. Agreed. A lot of people at a certain level of privilege wouldn't think of doing something so simple for themselves as clearing a table or making their own coffee. Maybe taking care of a few small basic tasks helps keep a person from sliding too deep into any of those 7 deadly. She handed Rourke his coffee, picked up her own, leaned back on the short counter. "You're betting Alexander doesn't load his own dishwasher?" "I'm betting he's rarely, if ever, spent any appreciable time in his own kitchen. Pride's as hungry as greed in some, and he's proud of his status, his wealth, his position. He employs 5 full-time domestic staff, 3 part-time, and subsidizes them with 3 domestic droids." "How did you find that out?" "Ask the right question of the right person," Rourke said simply. In contrast, Pope has 2 part-time domestics, no droids. Alexander also keeps 2 shuttle pilots on 24-hour call, which is showy and wasteful. He insists on certain perks anytime he meets with the hospital board, petty things. A certain type of bottled water, for instance, and a seat at table's head. His wife often flies her favorite designer into New York from Milan, and he keeps a mistress. Mistress? Eve shoved off the counter. I didn't find a mistress. Where did you get a mistress? I don't currently have one, as my wife is so often armed. Alexander is rumored to have one. Long-term, very discreet. I need to find her, talk to her. Rumor has it, again, she's someone he's known for years, and his father deemed inappropriate. My best guess would be a woman named Larina Chambers, a widow, billed as a close family friend. I haven't had time to confirm or eliminate, he warned, so rumor is all it is. The point is, as mistresses go, Alexander is a staunch conservative, one who often bangs the political drum and likes to trot out his family as examples of those values, those ideologies. The wife has to know. You said long-term, so the wife knows. Exposure there wouldn't do more than embarrass him. It wouldn't hurt his bottom line, would it? Business-wise, I can't see how. He'd be seen as something of a hypocrite, but that's personal. Still, pride again. Pride, she thought. One of those 7 deadly again. So maybe part of it is payments to or gifts to the mistress, or housing, travel, what have you. And how he's pulling that money from the business. An audit would show that. It would. Murder over that? She shook her head. People kill for less than nothing, but Jesus, it doesn't feel like enough for this. Not enough for other people to be involved and invested. I agree. There must be enough money at stake to spread around, and I'm wondering if that, too, may be liaison of heat and energy in the fingertips. Exciting, he recalled. In an almost mystical way no one but another thief would recognize or truly understand. But a go was then, and this was now. He found nearly the same heat and excitement from tapping into the vaults of secrets and misdeeds to work with his cop. Thinking of her, he glanced over. Ah, well, he thought, she was done. She didn't know it yet, but he knew the signs. Her body had begun to droop. Her eyes were going a little glassy. Left to her own devices, she'd have worked until her head just dropped down on her desk. When he checked the time, He noted it was nearly 1:30. No wonder. Even as he watched her sliding, the cat butted its head against his shin. "All right, I see, don't I? It's off to bed for all of us." Considering her injuries, she needed that bed, a reasonable night's sleep in it. So he programmed what he could of his work in progress to auto, copied and saved the rest before he rose to go to her. "I'm calling time." "Huh? I'm just taking a harder look at Ingersoll." She scratched her fingers in her hair as if to wake up her brain. Nothing works with Newton in this. With him crossing into Ingersoll's client base, I mean, it would be pretty clever, but that's predisposing you'd get caught and have the patsy waiting. And people like these rarely, if ever, believe they'll be caught. They just don't. So, anyway. You said once to look at insurance. Ingersoll's got heavy coverage, mostly on art, way over the listed value. Which could mean he fudged the value anyway. Weird. Weird indeed, he thought, as she went into the bathroom, but not a nightmare. He rose, got a fresh med pack, the wand, programmed coffee. After a brief consideration, he opted for cheese and spinach omelets. Enough cheese and she wouldn't bitch about the spinach. He thought she could use the protein and the iron. When she came out, wrapped in a robe, he had the food and the first aid tools set out. She eyed them both suspiciously. "What's in those eggs?" "Eat them and find out. I've been playing with some of the data my auto-search spit out. It's interesting." "What have you got?" "Eat and find out." She sat, but went for the coffee first. "Does 2 and 2 make 4? "I think not in this case. There's a payment here of just over 200,000 to IOC. A search for IOC turns up several companies and organizations, including a porn site billed as the Intense Orgasm Companion, which deals in vids, toys, enhancements, real-time vid or VR sex with a licensed companion, contacts to LCs who are affiliated with the site and will make house calls, and so on. Sex, she thought, never failed to sell. I don't think Alexander funneled $200K out of his company for porn. I tend to agree. I lean toward Investment Opportunity Corporation, a smallish outfit based in Miami, but claiming national coverage. They buy and sell properties, primarily commercial, but also residential, developed or zoned for development. Isn't that basically what Alexander and Pope already does? It is, so it's odd. Yeah, she could follow it. Alexander gets his share, the elephant share, lion's share, as you perfectly well know. Elephants are the biggest, and he takes the biggest. Your logic is unarguable. See? So he's the elephant. Then he has to wash the money, then bury it. Or just bury it. He has another easy system for laundry with the real estate. Arrange to purchase a property below market value, giving the difference in cash to the seller. He saves on taxes. Then you resell at market a few months later and make a legitimate profit. The money's now clean. He's in the perfect position for that. He is. Now, there are plenty of other ways, more complex and more profitable to pump up the profits. Set up a loan company, for instance, which I expect to find. The client takes out the loan to purchase the property. Then you diddle with the loan, make some on that. The property turns out, when legitimately assessed, to be worth a fraction of that loan. If you keep it small, a few thousand here and there so the IRS doesn't take note, you can draw cash out of those loan accounts, wash it, and it appears clean. If and when the client defaults on the loan, as he's in deeper than the value, you also have the land. She listened as she ate. It seems like a hell of a lot of work, and it seems like you could make the money just doing it legitimately. That doesn't factor in the thrill, the greed. There'd be skimming and circling around the tax codes and the enjoyment some have from screwing over others. Get rich quick is usually a scam and always for suckers. And there's never a shortage of suckers, Rourke pointed out. I expect the bulk of the clientele falls into two categories: the naive novice investor and the He hadn't been able to contact Alexander. They hadn't allowed him a link in his room, but then again, he'd been barely able to talk until yesterday. He'd take care of that as soon as he was tucked into his medical suite. Jim Arnold hobbled over on his skin cast. "How you doing, partner?" "Cruisin', partner." As Jim sat, stuck out his casted leg, he winced a bit. "I can't wait to get back, get home. The Vegas doc said they'll probably let me go home after they check me over. Maybe keep me one night, but then spring me. I'm sorry you weren't as lucky." "Yeah." Parzari put on a grim face, though he liked the idea of a few days in the hospital, people fussing over him, bringing him food. "I guess I used up my luck at the blackjack table." "You were rolling." "I wanted to tell you, Sly just texted. He'll meet us at the hospital. I told him he didn't have to do that, but he texted back he wanted to see us for himself. You know Sly. We're gonna land in a minute. Oh, look, my wife's meeting me at Transpo, but I can ride in with you if you want." "Forget it. Go ahead with the wife. Hell, you already stayed on an extra day until they let me travel." "Can't leave a buddy behind. We've been through the war together now, partner." "You bet." Parzari lifted his hand for a high five. He drifted in and out, comfortable and secure on his gurney as the shuttle made its landing. Good old New York, he thought. Would he miss it when he settled down with palm trees and ocean views? He didn't think so. Maybe he'd buy a little tiki bar, get somebody else to run it. It would be fun to own a bar, hang out, watch all the half-naked women sipping Mai Tais or whatever. Maybe he'd learn how to surf. Smiling to himself, he kept cruising as they rolled him out of the shuttle, fixed the gate to slide him out. He felt the sudden wicked cold, closed his eyes and envisioned balmy breezes, sun-washed sand and surf. "I'll be right behind you, Chaz." He opened his eyes briefly, gave Jim a thumbs up, then saw his associate's pale face light up. "Hi, honey!" And his Vegas compatriot hobbled away and into the arms of his wife. "Happy reunion," Parzari mumbled, as they lifted him into the back of an ambulance. Warm again, he let out a sigh. He heard voices. The in-flight nurse giving a report to the MTs, Jim's wife babbling, Jim's happy I'm home laugh. Then the ambulance shifted a little with the weight as the MT levered himself inside, slammed the double doors. With a rumble, they began to move. "Don't forget the good drugs." Parzari smiled, looked up at the ceiling and thought of women in tiny, tiny bikinis with skin gold from the sun, wet from the sea. Aloha. He felt so warm, his body so heavy. He turned his head with effort when he felt the straps clamp around his wrists. "What's that for?" "Keeps you where you are." Puzzled, Parzari turned his head again, stared into a familiar face. "Hey, what are you doing? Your boss order security for me?" "That's right." "Appreciate it." He wants to know if you talk to anybody." "Huh?" The man reached up, turned the clamp on the IV. "Upset. They even banned links and screens. I want to tell him myself what happened. I don't want him to hear it from cops. No offense. I think it'll be easier to hear it from a friend. We'll talk to Mr. Arnold first." "I really appreciate it. Oh, that's Jim's car. There he is. That's Jim. God, he looks like he's been through the ringer." Eve watched an attendant roll up a wheelchair, and the man, walking cast, pale, drawn face, maneuver from the passenger seat into the chair. "Jim!" Gibbons pushed forward. "How you doing? How do you feel?" "Been better." Jim took the hand Gibbons offered. "And believe me, a couple days ago I was worse. I'm so damn glad to be back. It's good to have you back. They're going to take good care of you in Chaz. I don't want you to worry about anything. Anything you need, you just let me know. I just want to get checked out and go home." His gaze shifted to Eve, crossed over Peabody, and back again. "Police?" "Lieutenant Dallas," Eve said. "Detective Peabody." "Marta." His eyes watered up. "I can't believe it. I don't know what to think or do. I didn't tell Chaz," he said to Gibbons. "I don't know if I would have known how, even if you hadn't told me not to, and the doctor said that was best, too. I don't know how he's going to take it, Sly. He's a hell of a lot more hurt than me. He really took the brunt of it. Where is he?" "He's not here yet. They left before we did." With obvious concern, he tried to swivel in the chair, look around. "My wife and I just sat in the car for a few minutes, but they took him off in the ambulance right away. I guess they hit some traffic. Stonewall me, doctor the books, then kill him. Or just ship him off. He's got no real ties here. Ship him off to someplace we can't extradite him, give him a new identity, and keep him on the payroll. Why bring yet another goddamn number cruncher in? It's inefficient to kill him. It's wasteful. Maybe that's what they're doing, trying to get him gone, hide him." Eve only shook her head. "They'd have plucked him out in Vegas. No point bringing him here to send him somewhere. And no goddamn point to bring him here to kill him. Why not do it out there where there's distance between you? Stupid. They're stupid. Murderously stupid." She fishtailed, righted, then swung beside a black and white. The thunder of traffic roared overhead when she got out of her vehicle. A uniform stood beside the open rear doors of the ambulance, another at the driver's side. She noted two more talking, or trying to talk, to a jittery funky junkie. "DB in the back, Lieutenant. He's still warm." She peered in, visually identified Chaz Parzari. "Peabody, they had to have another vehicle here. See what you can find on any traffic cams in this area. They can't have more than a 15-minute window, probably less." "What have we got over there?" she asked the uniform, jerking ahead toward the junkie. "We found him trying to get into the bus. Nothing locked on it, but he's so strung out he couldn't work the handle." The uniform set a hand on his hip, under his Sam Brown belt. "Says he was just checking to see if anybody was inside, just being a good citizen." "Right. Yeah, we figure he's messed up, but a junkie like him can smell drugs a mile off. The guys are working him some, but he claims he didn't see anything." It'd be done, and maybe, she thought, morally, but realistically, he'd be out within a week, have lost his turf, and very likely be worse off than now. He sure as hell wouldn't be better off. No, let him go. Maybe cruise down here once in a while, take a look at him. The uniform nodded. "He's got a halfway decent spot here. Mostly out of the weather, and it looks like the hyenas leave him alone. It's about the best he's gonna get. Sometimes, Eve thought, you had to settle for that. Peabody jogged over as Eve started back to the ambulance. I had EDD patch with traffic. We've got a vehicle coming out eastbound at 8:23. They thought about the traffic cams, Dallas, smeared up the license plates, front and rear. But we've got the make and model. Black Executive Lux 5000, current year. The windows, including windshield, were privacy screened, and that's illegal. But it also means we've got nothing on the occupants. See if McNabb has time to run it, against Alexander personally and the company for a match. And I need another run from traffic. They had to get it here, and I'm guessing very early this morning. So another vehicle followed it in. 3 vehicles for one accountant? That's a stupid way to do this. Yeah, it is. But they are. They're lucky the one they drove out wasn't busted to shit and stripped. If Doc, that's the funky junkie currently wearing my sunshades, had stirred up his brain cells, he'd have busted the window to scavenge. Smarter to have a third party meet them, or just walk the hell out and hail a damn cab. It tells me the one giving the orders doesn't have a freaking clue how things work on the street, or under them. It's all about privilege. She sealed up as she spoke, then boosted herself into the back of the ambulance. Let's get the sweepers on their way and have EDD go over to the hospital. See what we can get from security on when and how that ambulance was taken. Though she knew his identity, certainly knew the approximate time of death, Eve used her tools and gauges to confirm. With her recorder on, she studied the lockdown straps, wrists and ankles, the broken blood vessels in the eyes, the bruising around the nose and mouth. Like his live associate, he'd been pale and banged up. From the older bruising, the signs of medical treatment, the portable IV, she'd say considerably more banged up than Arnold. Lifting the top lip, she studied where the teeth had ground into the soft flesh, the smears of blood. She'd miscalculated, she thought. She'd planted seeds, wanting to tangle the money manager in some vines, give him something to sweat. But she hadn't considered anyone would be stupid enough to hand her yet another link in the chain, would order murder rather than bribery or a bonus, would so quickly discard a well-honed tool. Bruising and lacerations on the wrists and ankles, she stated. Looks like he twisted, strained, twisted. Rising, she bypassed a secured locker with her master. The drugs inside would have been worth a nice chunk on the street, as would the medical equipment, some of it very portable. No time, or no inclination to make some extra, to take a nice little bonus. Do the job, move on. She moved into the cab of the vehicle, using a pen light to search under the seats, under the dash, hoping for some little mistake. Eyes staring up at the freshly painted ceiling, and his brutalized head swimming in a pool of his own blood. Eve held up a hand. We clear it first. She didn't believe they'd find the killer hiding in one of the closets or curled into a kitchen cabinet, but they worked through, room by room, before she holstered her weapon. Get the field kits, Peabody. I'll call it in. He beat him with a hammer. The weapon lay beside the body, covered in blood and gore. Beat his head to pulp with it. Spatters everywhere. Jesus! And look at the blood on the pants. He must have kneecapped him with it. Yeah. He put some effort into this one. I'd say he's starting to enjoy his work. Chapter 16. While Peabody went out for field kits, Eve stood studying the scene, the body, the spatter patterns on the freshly painted walls, the gleaming floor. She calculated they'd missed the killer by minutes, missed preventing murder by perhaps 30. She could see how it happened, the movements, the horror, the brutality, see it before the field kit and the tools and instruments. The contact via link, text only, or with video blocked. She'd have lured her target that way. A simple statement, a flat demand. Mr. Alexander needs to speak with you right away. He'll meet you in the apartment of the new building. If the Vic questioned, some cryptic or impatient answer could be given. Alexander said now, that means now. Odds were the killer made the link tag from inside the apartment, gaining access through the hacker's skills, or because Ingersoll had already passed on the new codes. Vic comes down after the link tag, Eve said out loud, as Peabody walked back in with the kits. The killer's already here. That's how he'd work it. He's a coward at the core. He'd take him from behind, an ambush. We know he's got a stunner, so he'd use it. He stuns Ingersoll, takes him down, then beats him to death while he's helpless. That's his way. Why not quick and easy snap his neck like he did with Dickinson? Or smother him like Parzari? Why this kind of ugly personal mess? Personal, exactly. And because he's experimenting now. He's into it now. He's not killing a stranger now. She took the kit from Peabody, began to seal up. So, he not only knew Ingersoll, but... Like Eve, Peabody studied the body, the spatter. Really didn't like him. Possible. Very possible. Ingersoll pissed him off, or insulted him at some point, or he just didn't like his face. That gives him a reason. Maybe it gives him permission to wail away. Dickinson? That was thoughtless, ruthless. Swat that fly and walk away. The attack on us? Following orders. But was there a little thrill in there at the prospect of taking out 2 cops in a public place? Maybe. Major fail on that one. Yeah. Taking out her gauges, Eve performed the basics, confirming ID, determining TOD. Alexander wouldn't have been very pleased. Maybe he took his muscle to the tool shed. The tool shed? For the hammer? No, you know. You go to the tool shed to get your ass whipped. You do? Oh, you mean woodshed. Why does wood need a shed? I don't know. Well, to keep it dry. You can't start a fire with wet wood. 18 minutes. He's been dead for 18 goddamn minutes. Anger spurted inside her, needed to be tamped down. They came directly here from the underpass in Parzari. He's riding on the boost from doing the accountant. Does he already have the hammer? Was it here? She looked around again, but saw no tools, no materials. They'd finished in here. The crew had cleaned up, so why would there be a hammer? Did he bring it with him? Did he stop to buy it? We find out. Either way, one of them, killer or hacker, makes the call. She looked at the door again, calculated, then carefully lifted the victim's bloody, ruined shirt. Yeah, stun marks. ME to confirm, but I think... She fixed on micro-goggles, all but put her nose on the broken chest. Looks like it to me. He doesn't stun Ingersoll from behind. Maybe he couldn't get in position to, or he just wanted to see Ingersoll's face when he went down. So, Vic walks in, all rush, all business. and the killer stuns him. She closed her eyes a moment. If the hammer was here, using it was impulse. I don't think so. Not this time. And a stray hammer's just too damn convenient. He's pumped up. He wants more. He's greedy, just like the rest of them. All of them just want more. He could have walked over, put the stunner to the carotid, ended it. Crazy! Is this about the accountants? Is this some lunatic targeting all of us? A client? I don't understand. I don't understand. He was just here, not an hour ago. Sit down, she repeated, more gently now, as she saw the mix of shock and anger on both, and the dawning of grief. Newton lowered shakily into an old folding chair. Whitestone just sat on the floor. How? How? He asked her. You have to tell us what happened. He wasn't just our partner. He's our friend. Robb. Jesus, Robb. He met his killer in the apartment downstairs. Your apartment, Mr. Whitestone. Color drained from Whitestone's face, leaving it a sickly green. No. No! He was going out for coffee, meeting a client. No, he wasn't. He believed he was meeting a client, and more than a client. A partner in a land and investment fraud operation. Chaz Parzari served as their accountant. Newton lurched up from the chair. That's bullshit! Fraud? Jake's dead, and now you're trying to make him a criminal? He made himself. We have significant evidence linking Ingersoll Parzari and another individual to fraud in several land and property schemes. You don't look very surprised, she said to Whitestone. I thought he was kidding around. I thought... The wrist unit, Robb. He said he got at an estate sale for peanuts. The painting he bought a few months ago after he said he'd hit it big in Atlantic City, and... other things. Oh, God. He lowered his... I had the same one. I have to go with probabilities. They're going to deal with 2 people in one morning, then they'd take the most direct and quickest route from the first killing to the second. They sure didn't stop for coffee and donuts, Peabody put in. Maybe after the morning's work. So if the hammer was impulse and new, he got the idea en route, stopped, made the buy. He had to see somewhere that sells tools. Okay, 1 minute. What are you doing? Eve asked as Peabody went to work on her PPC. I'm plotting out the route, then I'm going to do a search for anywhere I can buy myself a hammer. Good thinking. Meanwhile, Eve kept her eye out. I've got 2 places, Peabody announced. One's Big Apple Hardware. Eve pulled over, once again double parking, and raising the ire of fellow drivers. As she flipped on the on-duty light, she wondered just how many fuck-offs she'd amassed just that morning. She might have been approaching a record. She stepped into the tiny shop with its myriad shelves and pegboards holding various tools, bins full of screws, nails, bolts, stacks of tarps, protective gear, goggles, earplugs. Cans of paint, brushes, rollers, sprayers, toothy blades all crowded into the space. She wondered how anything got built if the process required so many implements and choices. A husky guy sat on a stool behind a jumbled counter, watching some kind of action vid on a portable screen. Help ya? Maybe. She pulled out her badge. Can't do no cop discount, sorry. No problem. I'm looking for a man with a hammer. Big guy. Easy 6'4", 250. Did somebody like that come in and buy a hammer this morning? You understand hard, stressful worlds and making a life, a real life, inside one. I guess I do, as well as anybody can. I wanted to tell you because being you, so to speak, helped me understand and evaluate and decide on priorities, on what's really important. Good work, yes, in whatever you do, but when you find someone, the one, it changes everything. It changes you, and you're better for it. I have friends I can say that to, and they'd understand, but not the way you can. Because of that, I wanted to ask you a favor. Okay? Matthew and I are going to have a small private wedding at Mason's and Connie's here in New York, the day after tomorrow. Will you stand up for me? What? Will you come, you and Rourke, and will you stand up for me? If you can, if you're not working. Marlo, you have to have people, friends you're tight with, someone I do, and I thought about it. Reaching out a hand to take Eve's, Marlo flashed her megawatt smile. I want you, if you will, if you can. When I make promises to Matthew, I want someone beside me who really understands how important those promises are. We want to keep it simple, private. Later we'll have some big crazy party back home, but this part, the promises, we want to keep the rest out of it. Eve remembered when she'd understood, really understood, that's what marriage meant. Promises, making them and keeping them. All right, sure, if I know the ifs. Marlo looked back at the board. And if one comes up, that's okay. Thank you so much. She gave Eve's hand a grateful squeeze. I was nervous to ask you. I feel much better now. Anytime you need a favor, just ask. I could use 2 VIP tickets for tomorrow. I had to bribe someone. I'll take care of it. Just let me... And hello. The flirt went back on as Rourke stepped into the doorway. Then Marlo laughed, moved to him for a friendly kiss. I didn't expect to be able to see both of you when I came in. This is an extra treat. How are you, Marlo? I'm just about perfect. Dallas will fill you in, as I've interrupted her work long enough. We're all looking forward to the after-party tomorrow. Plenty of time to catch up there. I'm sorry to interrupt. Marlo, how nice to see you. When Mira came in, Eve thought, what next, a brass band? Now she had to wait for all the how are yous, you look wonderfuls, and blah, 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 with people crowded into her office, sucking up her oxygen. Rourke sent Eve an amused look over Mira's head. Marlo, he began, I was about to go up to EDD. Would you like to come along, have a little look around? I'd love to, and then I can fill you in myself. I'll see both of you tomorrow. And thank you, Dallas. Again. I'll take care of those tickets. Thanks. When Rourke led Marlo out, quietly closed the door, Eve let out a huge breath. God, why are there so many people? She looks happy, Mira commented. You look impatient. She is. I am. I was coming to see you as soon as I updated my book and board. I read the reports, studied the recording Peabody sent me, and I wanted to speak with you right away. He's evolving, Eve. I got that much. Mira shook her head. Update your board. Put this morning's victims and crime scenes up. Okay. She went to her unit to load the recorder, make the prints. I'm programming coffee, Mira told her. I've got some of that tea stuff you like stocked in there. I want coffee. While Eve worked, Mira programmed 2 cups. You see the first victim, Mira began. A clean, quick kill, and the attempt to disguise murder as mugging. It was a job. He didn't know her. Business. I agree, as we discussed before. The second murder is unnecessarily cruel, would have caused suffering, and was done face-to-face. More personal. I get it, Eve repeated. He knew the guy, and he's got a little taste for it. Face-to-face, Mira said again, but a victim in a drugged state and the restraints. You believe the killer is a big man, a strong man, yet he restrained the smaller, weaker man. He's a coward at the bottom of it. Yes, he is. The third victim, all but on the heels of the second, fast work, and in the last case, extremely violent. You believe the victim was stunned prior to the bludgeoning. Confirmed by Morris, yes. And that he lay in wait, lured the victim in, incapacitated him, then beat him violently. It's a very quick escalation, an experimentation in methods, perhaps, but more, it's an embrace of that violence, one that, to escalate so quickly, has always been there. A big, strong man, capable of snapping a woman's neck, both physically and mentally. And yet a coward, and the cowardice, even more than the strength and violence, makes him very dangerous. Because he'll ambush, come from behind. It's more than that. Despite the relative ease of the first killing, he failed. It wasn't judged a mugging, and it turned the spotlight on his employer. The reaction to that? Try for me and Peabody. Yes, impulsively, and without any consideration for people who might have been hurt. And his cowardice is clearly shown, and has been touted all over the media, by using a child as a shield and weapon. Again he failed, and this time he's been called a coward, a monster, while you're cheered as a hero. I caught the kid, Eve began. It wasn't heroic, it was a good catch. I disagree, and so does the very vocal public. But the point is, he's termed a coward. You're termed a hero. All right. That'd be a pisser for him. Do you believe his employer ordered or expected him to carry out these 2 killings today with increasing violence, with no attempt at all to mask them? Eve shook her head. Probably not. I expect the order was just, take care of this. I don't think Alexander thinks things through any more than his muscle. No. Impulse, carelessness, cowardice, violence unleashed. He may not, very well may not, wait to be ordered before killing again. He'll see his last 2 murders as successes. He committed them his way, released that violence, enjoyed it. He'll want that feeling again, that accomplishment. I can't just walk around the city hoping he'll make a move. I have to draw him a map. I think I have one, if I need it. We may be able to ID him today, then this is moot. Don't underestimate him, Eve. His impulse and unpredictability could work in his favor. Maybe, Eve thought, when Mira left her. But she believed cunning, experience, and a little manipulation would work in hers. She contacted Nadine first. "Ready for tomorrow night?" Nadine asked her. "That's why I tagged you." Nadine's cat-green eyes narrowed. "Don't pull the 'I'm too busy working a murder' card. I am busy working a murder. Make that murders." Nadine shifted to reporter mode without mussing a hair on her streaky blonde head. "They're connected. The 2 this morning? And to Judge Young's sister-in-law? The dots line up. How come I haven't done an interview on my excitement and anticipation of tomorrow's premiere? Is that a trick question? Those eyes narrowed again. What have you got in mind? I'm thinking about inviting one more person to the premiere. And that would be? The killer. Get over here with the camera, and we'll issue the invitation. Eve clicked off, sat back. It could work. Risky, sure, but workable. She started to reach for the comm to call Peabody in, then Rourke stepped up to the now open door. Alone again. Not anymore. Thanks for taking Milo out. Easy enough, as I wanted to speak with Feeney and McNabb in any case. She's blissfully happy, and very grateful you agreed to stand up for her at the wedding. Reference to the killer and the hacker were drawn from any of the accounts therein. Expand the charges to conspiracy to commit murder, murder for hire. As there will be issues of tax fraud and tax evasion, I expect federal agencies will take a strong interest in the actions of Sterling Alexander and in his company. Whitney leaned back. And you'd like to delay informing those federal agencies in these matters? 3 people are dead. In addition, an attempt was made on the lives of 2 NYPSD officers. I prefer he answer for that before the money matters. How long? 36 hours at the outside. If we can ID and locate, we can bring in the killer and the E-Man. If, however, we're unable to ID or unable to locate expediently, I have a contingency plan. Leaning back, Whitney linked his fingers. Go ahead. The New York premiere of the iCove Agenda has generated a lot of media interest and attention. It's well reported that Peabody and I will be attending. I believe, Commander, following the pattern, Dr. Mira's updated profile, and a 96.6 probability ratio, the unsub will also attend in some fashion in order to complete the objective he failed to complete yesterday. You believe he'll try to get to you and/or Peabody at the premiere? With the crowds attending or watching the attendees arrive, the cameras, the security? I do. Not despite that, but because of it. He failed and was humiliated on screen with the replay of the baby catch. That was impressive, he agreed. Thank you, sir. The increase in the violence of his kills today, in his more personal involvement, drag me down here to tell me you're skipping the premiere. Just the opposite. I want you to interview me about attending the premiere and make sure it gets some splash. Did you recently suffer some head trauma? From what I saw on the amazing baby catch, you hit your ass. Then again, keep it up. I can get another reporter over here in 10 seconds flat. Another reporter wouldn't go along with whatever you want to stir up, and in fact, give it just the right stir. Nadine sat, crossed her excellent legs. What are you after? Some media attention on this specific event. You'll have your own cameras covering it, right? You bet your probably very sore ass. If this plays out, you're gonna get a hell of a story. Nadine flicked a glance at the board, then shifted back to Eve. What does tomorrow's premiere have to do with the 3 murders? We've got some lines, and may very well have that nailed down before the premiere. If not, we could nail it down at the premiere. Nadine pursed her lips and got that reporter's gleam in her eye. How? The how's up to me in the NYPSD. The lure's up to you. He tried to take me and Peabody out once. I'm saying he'll try again, and I'm gonna set the time and place. Tomorrow night, at the 5-Star Theater. It's probable he knows I'll be there. I want to remind him, toss it in his face, and give it some gloss so the idea of taking me down there is irresistible. You talking about the gloss, the glitz, the glam? Angling her head, Nadine gave Eve a dubious study. It's going to come off out of character. You play up that end. I'm about looking forward to seeing the investigation I headed hit the screens. You could ask it as they walked to the conference room. Otherwise, Mira believes, and I agree, he's going to try to take us out again. You and me. Well, that's not happy news. It is, because we can work that. Did you get me the theater layout? Right here. I wasn't sure if you wanted it on your unit or a hard copy. Eve took the disc. This for now. Go ahead and set up a board, standard for the current investigation. As Eve loaded the disc, brought the layout on screen, and Peabody set up the board, Eve filled her in on the basics of her proposed operation. At the premiere? Peabody interrupted. Really? Don't whine about it. I got a new dress and shoes. I spent more for the shoes than the dress. And Trina's got this idea for my hair and this whole new eye palette to... Trailing off, Peabody cleared her throat and got very busy with the board. I know about Trina. You bitch. Shoulders hunched, Peabody carefully pinned up murder. It's a special night. You'll look really good, and you won't have to do it all yourself. We won't want the NYPSD to fall short of the Hollywood crowd, right? Team pride! Rah fucking rah. Really, Dallas, it'll be good. It'll be chilly, and we'll look abso-mag by the time... She trailed off again, face lighting up. We will look mag. And if we take down this killer at the premiere, with cams everywhere, it'll be all over the screen like the flying baby, and we'll look completely frosted. It's so good you've got your priorities in place, Detective. Catching killers, that's what we do. But if we get to do it at a big celeb event, there's no downside. Studied the screen, changed angles, zoomed in, enhanced, zoomed out. Finish the board, she told Peabody. I need to work this out. If he hits us outside, he gets to do it in front of more people, Peabody pointed out. The public. Yeah, that's a factor. But inside gives him a better chance of coming in close and from behind. Smaller space. All those celebrities and VIPs corralled in there, grabbing drinks, showing off for the cameras. She ordered the computer to give her an overlay of that sector. Studied that, calculating the most likely escape route. Out of the theater, out of the area. She routed the quickest, then routed what she considered the best. She'd run probabilities, but her instinct told her he'd go quickest. She didn't think he was smart enough to see the advantage of the longer, less direct route. As she began to see the structure of her operation in her head, she used one screen for exterior, one for interior of the theater. She highlighted potential routes, added highlights to maintenance areas, security areas, offices, employees only. She studied the layout. Restrooms, viewing rooms, bars, cafe, vending area, food sale area, ticket sale area. Mentally, she placed cops on sectors, like chess pieces on a board. She glanced over as the door opened, turned when Detective Yancey came in. Lieutenant, Baxter said you'd be in here. I've got your likeness. Sorry it took so long. Some wits need more time. He offered her a printout and a disc. Eve studied the image. The wide face, squared at the jaw. Short, medium brown hair, buzzed at the crown. Brown eyes heavily lidded. The slightly hooked nose, the more prominent top lip. How confident are you? I think we're close. Yancey slipped his hands into the pockets of comfortably worn jeans. His overall impression was big, kind of surly, but he started to remember the details as we went along. It's a strong face. It comes off surly, Yancey added, because that's how the wits saw him. But the features, I think, are close. Then we'll go with it. Thanks. No problem. When he glanced at the board, his young, attractive face hardened as he scanned Jake Ingersoll's crime scene shot. You'd have to be pretty damn surly to do that. Yeah, I think he's got an anger management problem. With a half laugh, Yancey shook his head. I hear they have good programs for that on Omega. We'll do our best to get him in. Let me know if you need more. See you around, Peabody. I had a sex dream about him once, Peabody said after Yancey left. Oh, my God! It was before McNabb. Well, before McNabb and I were together. He's so fatally cute. Yancey, I mean. McNabb, too, but shut up now. It was a really good sex dream, Peabody said under her breath. Speaking of, she added as Rourke walked in the room. One more word, and I'll get that hammer out of evidence and beat your tongue flat with it. Did you get the hacker? She asked Rourke. Ian's nearly there. He asked if you'd excuse him from the briefing until he's finished. Yeah, he should stay on it. Why aren't you? Because he's nearly there, Rourke repeated. And I want to know what you're planning, as I have a vested interest. He smiled over at Peabody. Or two, he said, and made her flush with pleasure. Aw, Peabody? Aw's not a word, it's a sound. Stop making sounds. I've got his face. Yancey's confident on it. I'll be running facial recognition, and I'm going to key in military and sports. If I'm right on either, and may cut back on the time, may bring us a quicker hit. Rourke took the sketch to study it. You think if he does try to infiltrate, it'll be his security. Look at that face. Yes, security's the most logical. He turned to the screens, scanned both. It's a large building, numerous points of entry and egress on both levels, and more in the basement maintenance and storage areas. The security system is good, but it's not excellent. There's relatively little to steal, and there are standard alarms on the doors set during vids to discourage any attempt to break in and watch for free. How do you know? I did a bit of research on it after you told me your plan. I don't think he'll break in. He'll blend in. The hacker could create a pass for him, a badge, whatever he needs. Or he could target someone legitimately on security, take him out, replace him. The security is to keep the public from getting too familiar with the celebrities, to keep them out of the theater, to be present. It's soft duty. He could bribe somebody, but he'd probably just kill. He's got a taste for it. He'll need to get close to you. That's right. He'll need to get close to kill me. And he'll need to get close so I can stop him from killing me and catch him. Remember that. Meeting her eyes, Rourke skimmed a hand over her hair. It's not something I'd forget. She stepped back as cops began to shuffle into the room. Feeney headed to her. The boys nearly got the location. I pulled Calendar off another duty so she can give him a hand. If he hits, maybe I'll be wasting everybody's time for the next half hour. Feeney noticed the screen, pulled at his bottom lip as he studied it, as he understood where it led. Well, crap. The wife's really looking forward to this shindig. Maybe we'll give her a kind of double feature. Better, We can pull this off quick and quiet. Nobody notices a thing." "Somebody always notices," Feeney said, but walked off to sit and hear her out. She started to input the sketch disk, but Rourke took it from her. "I'll take care of it." She left him to it, began counting heads. She'd need more, but she knew these cops, knew they'd run the op as she needed it run. "Let's settle down," she called out. "Dickinson Marta, Parzari Chaz, Ingersoll Jake. We believe this man," she paused until Rourke flashed the sketch on screen, "killed all three with rapidly escalating violence. Yesterday he attempted to kill 2 police officers." "Hell of a catch, LT," Jenkinson said, and earned her quick applause. She held up her hands, wiggled her fingers. "I have many skills. We'll be running facial recognition, and we hope to ID this baby-tossing killer. Until then, here's what we know." She ran it through, quick, thorough, wanting her men to understand, all jokes aside, the target was dangerous and not to be underestimated. As we have yet to ID him, and factoring Mira's with some luck and another 2 skilled men, maybe a week, with more luck, 3 days. Crap, does it look like I have a week? She paced away, then back. I've got the resources of the entire EDD. I've got the ridiculous resources of the biggest, slickest, most conniving e-geek on or off planet. Thanks, darling. And you need a frickin' week to out-geek some skinny hacker who likes to call himself the Mole? Rourke only smiled at her. That's about right, yes. Dallas, the freaking Enterprise, McNabb reminded her. You have to understand the complexities, the filters, No, I don't. She pointed at McNabb. You do. She pointed again, more vehemently, when he started to speak again. I got it! Eve swung around toward Peabody. What? Peabody waved her PPC triumphantly. It's the Kirk thing, the Enterprise thing. It reminded me I'd hit this name that made me snicker when I was running the van, the cargo. Here it is, Tony Stark. Oh, baby! McNabb blew her a double-handed kiss. Good call! It's gotta be, right? Peabody said to McNabb. It's his style. Who the hell is Tony Stark? Eve demanded. Iron Man, Rourke told her. Superhero, genius, innovative engineer, and billionaire playboy. Iron Man? You're talking about a comic book guy? Graphic novel, Rourke and McNabb said together. What do you bet it's him, Dallas? Peabody asked. Heroes from classic novels and vids. It fits. They used his van. It's Milo's van. Possibly. Okay, from the looks of you 3, probably. Then she'd clear Rourke and McNabb to do the probe and scan. There. Do you see that, Ian? I see it. McNabb nodded at Rourke. He's in there. How do you know? Eve demanded. He's doing a sweep. McNabb tapped his monitor. Checking. Can he make us? No, we're on the down low. We'll read as standard comm. She can't keep buzzing and calling. Peabody, you need to look like you're giving up. Start to turn away, then just sit down on the step and blubber some. What am I gonna do? Sniffling, Peabody knuckled the tear from under her eye. I don't know what to do. She started to turn, then she heard it. The faintest hum from the intercom. Forcing herself not to react, she took another step away. What's going on? Oh, thank God! She spun back toward the door, remembered to limp just a little. Hello? Hello? Please, can you help me? My boyfriend left me. He took my bag. It's got my link, my money, everything. It's so cold out here. Can I come in for just a minute? Can I just use your link? I could call Shelley. Maybe she can come get me.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Dolly. I'm Dolly Darling. I dance at Kitty Cat over on Harrison. You know it? It's a nice place. It's classy, you know. Shelley's working this shift, so she could get off and come get me if you just let me in. He took my coat with him. I'm so cold.
Did you have a fight?
I found out he was cheating on me with my ex-best friend. Why did he want to do that? Why did he want to be so mean to me?
She put on her best sultry, she hoped, pout, and took an enormous breath to bring her breasts up to full potential.
I've been sweet to him. I did anything for him. Honey, please, I'm so awful cold. Maybe you could just lend me a coat or something. I could trade for it, just for a loan. Give you a freebie, maybe. I've got a license. Well, not with me because Mickey took my purse.
She was freezing, Peabody thought, and worked up some fat tears. Her head came up when she heard the electronic click of locks disengaging.
Are you opening the door? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I owe you so big. Really, really big.
The door opened a few inches, giving Peabody and the team their first close-up look at Milo the Mole. He'd had some work since his last ID shot. Chin implant, Eve deduced, which he'd opted to spotlight with the narrow horizontal strip of sandy blonde hair. His eyes, an eerie green, couldn't stop drifting down to the display of Peabody's generous breasts. He'd chosen a neon rainbow of long dreads for his current hairstyle, and wore what Eve thought of as typical geek baggies in pumpkin orange, with a sunburst t-shirt that sat just as baggy on his skinny frame.
Hi.
Peabody gave the syllable a breathless baby doll huff, smiling into those eerie eyes as she heard the orders to close in, move in, through her earbud.
I'm Dolly. I really like your hair. Abso-mag. Can I come in for, 2 minutes? I'm just frozen. See?
She held out a hand, palm up, so he'd see it was empty, then expanded her lungs yet again when he set his own on it.
Ooh, you're so warm. And so cute. Please, can I come out of the cold? Use your link? I promise I won't bite. Unless you want me to.
Sure. We'll work out that trade. When he opened the door wider, Peabody stepped in, then stopped, blocking him from shutting it.
Oh, ow! I hurt my ankle chasing after that prick.
Maybe you need to lie down. She giggled, giving him a teasing poke.
Maybe you could warm me up before I borrow your link.
I'll start here. He reached out, closed his hand over her left breast. Peabody smiled at him, eased a little closer. In one fast move, she had him pressed face first to the wall. "Want to party rough?" he began. "The party's over," Eve said as she stepped around Peabody and yanked Milo's hands behind his back. "Milo Easton, you're remanded into custody. We've got a lot of questions for you, Milo. Peabody, why don't you read him his rights while we let the E-boys loose in his place?" "You can't just come in here. You can't touch my stuff. You can't—" "Can, will, am," Eve corrected. "You're screwed, Milo." "Take it apart," she told McNabb. "Can't wait." But he took a moment to lay Peabody's coat over her shoulders. "Have the uniforms take him in. Set him up," she told Peabody. "We'll let him cook a little while before we talk to him." Eve watched Peabody haul him out, then smiled at Rourke. All for a pair of tits. They are lovely ones. She only shook her head. Men. I'm betting you want to stay here. Get in on the geek extravaganza. You couldn't lure me away even with lovely tits. Bet I could, she said, to wrap it in a goddamn bow. She stepped inside with Peabody, back in her jacket, her shirt primly buttoned. Dallas, Lieutenant Eve, and Peabody, Officer Delia, entering interview with Easton Milo. How's it going, Milo? I've got nothing to say. Does that mean you've been read your rights and understand same? I know my frickin' rights. I want a lawyer. I don't say a word without a lawyer. That's fine, no problem. Just some free advice. Word's out that your client, we'll call him, is still cleaning house. You're due to be swept up, Milo, so you're going to want to be careful which lawyer you call in. Any connection to that client, it could mean we wasted our time saving your bony ass today. Saving my ass? You think I'm stupid? I'm told you're really smart, E-wise. I don't know how smart you are people-wise. You're the last thread he needs to snip. You might think about hiding in that electronic fortress of yours, but sooner or later, he'll get to you. We did, and it didn't take much. Milo sat back, sneered. Lawyer. All right. Peabody, contact the PA. Let him know Milo's engaged his right to an attorney, so there's no need to craft that deal. And let's get Milo his link call, then put him in protective lockdown, the full 24/7. We don't want anybody saying we didn't do everything we could to keep him alive while we have him. Eve swore she could see the wheels turning, or in his case, the motherboard firing, as she got to her feet. You can pull in a fleet of lawyers, Milo, but you won't walk out of this. We'll have enough to tuck you away without electronic access for a couple decades. And that's just with what we get out of your house. Add in the fraud charges, the tax evasion, the money laundering, book. I've done some work for Ingersoll before. I only work on referrals, you know, you have to be careful. I bet. So Ingersoll brought Alexander to you? Yeah, they had a good thing going, but Alexander wanted some tweaking and a thicker slice. That's where I came in. You got a potential mark or a group of investors, I'd put together a file on them. Financials, other investments, what they spent money on, who they spent it on. If they had something going on the side, if they were into the kink. Contradiction, Eve noted, as Milo had claimed earlier not to have been involved in the fraud. She'd give him more rope. For blackmail purposes? I didn't blackmail anybody either. Milo held up his hands. I don't do that shit. I just provide the data to the client. What the client does with the data isn't on me. Got it. But being thorough, you'd have put together files on how Alexander used the data. You'd have that as a just-in-case buffer. Like I said, you've got to be careful. He put the screws to some of the marks, sure. Bled them a little harder that way if they started to make noise or tried to back out. Whatever. He's a greedy bastard. You know, he even tried to get me to cut my rates. Imagine that. Yeah, seriously. You get what you pay for, right? And my work made him a whole shit pot of money. I bet it did. How long have you worked for him? 6 months. Just doing those tweaks now and then. So you were involved in the fraud. He blinked, shifted. I didn't do any fraud. I just did the tweaks. We covered that. All right. So you did the tweaks and helped Alexander make that shit pot of money. But then he was going to have some trouble. This audit he couldn't get out of. Shouldn't have been trouble. Wouldn't have been. Credit. Especially after you got in his face. Man, he was steamed. Was he? Maximum steam. Okay, full disclosure, total cooperation.
He wanted me to hack into your comms. At Central, Portable, at home. Let me say, you've got some major mag shielding. I didn't have time to get through it. So what I did, I got the other cops. The one who was in here. Detective Peabody. Yeah. NYPSD has some decent shielding, but it's doable. I ran the locator on her comm. That's how the ass-kicker knew where you'd be. But you didn't ask questions. I had to figure he wanted to mess you up some, scare you off. I figure that's stupid. He does that, you're just going to put it together, but he doesn't pay me for advice. Tossing that kid, that's cold, man. That was very unchill. Superior catch, by the way. Thanks. Let's go back to Parzari for a minute, just to tie it up. You hacked in, got the data on the shuttle flight, the ambulance crew, generated the fake IDs, sent the fake communication. Yeah, that was the job. And drove the ambulance. That's a kick. He actually grinned. Lights, sirens, a rush. But while you're driving, Milo, while you're getting that rush, Parzari's in the back being smothered. I didn't know. Seriously, you have to pay attention when you're driving an ambulance. Tell me what you thought when you left it and Parzari at the underpass. Switched cars? Just like before. His eyes cut away, putting a little scare into him. You're lying now, Eve thought. Lying, weaselly little fucker. Putting a scare in him by leaving him hurt, since you didn't know he was dead. Hurt and alone. Taking his suitcase. Just driving off. I got paid for the hack, the driving. That's it. That's all. And I wasn't going to say anything. The ass-kicker looked kind of pumped. Gave me a bad feeling. We're supposed to go to the Wynn building so the ass-kicker can talk to Ingersoll. Just talk. That's all I knew. I tagged Ingersoll, said how Alexander wanted to cover some new details, how it was important, and they should meet in the apartment there. But before that, the ass-kicker has me stop. Not on the schedule, but I do what I'm told. I don't argue with the guy. He goes into this crappy little hardware store. I've got to circle around, and it takes some time with traffic and all. He's waiting for me when I get back. He's got this bag from the store. I didn't know what was in it. As far as I know, he needed some freaking hardware. Reasonable assumption. Sure. Eve waited a beat. And then? Oh, well, anyway, Whitestone changed the codes after what happened, but I had the pattern in the system, so I bypassed easy enough. Then I parked on the block, went for some coffee, sat and did some work until the tag to come back. Milo stopped, moistened his lips. This time I got spooked. The guy looked, I don't know, more than pumped. He looked a little crazy, maybe, and I thought I smelled blood. I don't know for sure, but I do know for sure all I wanted was to take him back to the offices, dump the car in the company garage, and get home. I'm telling you, I'd already decided to turn down any more jobs that involved that guy. Whatever Alexander offered to pay wasn't worth it. A little late, Milo. Look, I hack. I don't hurt anybody. I find information, and yeah, maybe funnel some money, but I don't do violence. You just sell information to people who do violence. It's not my responsibility what people do with the information. Well, actually, Milo, you're wrong about that. The law takes a different view, which is why you're under arrest for accessory to murder, 3 counts. You can't do that! I just drove the van! Eve expected that would be his war cry for the rest of his miserable life. That's why it's called accessory, Milo. You could look it up. You just drove the van on the night Marta Dickinson was abducted and murdered. You're also being charged with that abduction, by the way. But what? The words broke off, just crumbled. Now, maybe, just maybe, your lawyer can argue you didn't know about the intent to murder that time, but by your own admission you knew she'd been murdered. That's accessory after the fact. Instead of coming in, you took the next job with the same people, then the next. Nobody's going to buy you were stupid enough not to know what you were part of. You kept going back to the well, Milo, knowing the water was poison. And 3 people are dead. Eve saw tears start in the corners of his eyes. I cooperated! I laid it out for you! Yeah, thanks. She got to her feet. You lied! You tricked me! You entrapped me! No, yes, no. I'm allowed to lie in interview, but in this case, I didn't have to. If we hadn't dug you up, brought you in, Alexander would tell his man to do you next. There's no question there, Milo. In addition, the state of New York will not pursue charges of fraud against you. But I don't have any control over what the feds decide, and I'm pretty sure they'll come for you. I didn't hurt his arm. Kid. She pushed back her coat so her weapon came clearly into view. You've just violated Code 8276B. You've got 2 choices. Go take a nap or go to jail. There's no ice cream in jail, no toys in jail, no cartoons on screen in jail. There's just jail. The boy's sleep-deprived eyes went huge. Mommy? There's nothing I can do, honey. She's the police. Please, officer. The mother turned to Eve, hands clasped as if in prayer, and with an almost insane grin on her face. Please give him another chance. He's a good boy. He's just tired and not feeling very well. The law's the law. Eve aimed a hard, cold look at the kid. Nap or jail? I'll take a nap! He scrambled up and ran as if pursued by demons. Eve heard a door slam. I'll be right in, baby, the woman called out, then turned back to Eve. If you take off your boots, I'll kiss your feet. I'll give you a pedicure. I'll make you dinner. Just answer a couple questions, and we're square. We'll never be square, but what do you want to know? Clinton Fry. Eve gestured across the hall. When did you last see him? Yesterday, about 5, I guess. I had some food delivered because I can't take Bailey out, and he was leaving. Did he say where? He doesn't say anything. I haven't had a conversation with him in the 5 years we've lived here. He's not what you call neighborly. Any trouble with him? No, but I'm not surprised to find the police at my door asking about him. He just gives off that vibe. I've never seen anybody visit, never seen him with a single friend. And he hasn't been home, that you've seen, since yesterday? That's right. He had a couple suitcases, so I assumed he was taking a trip. Suitcases? Yeah. Anyone else, I'd have said something like, oh, you're taking a trip. Him? I just kept my mouth shut. Okay, thanks. Are you sure I can't do anything else? Bake you a cake? I've never baked a cake, but I'd try it. No, thanks. We appreciate the time. He really is a good boy. He's just been so miserable the last few days. I think we'll both take a nap, and hopefully wake up human again. Good luck. Eve stepped back, looked across the hall. Do you think he went rabbit? Peabody asked. I think he figured out we might come looking. The flying baby, she said again. All those vids. He couldn't be sure somebody didn't get his face, and we wouldn't do just what we did with the sketch. So he took what he wanted, relocated. But he's not in the wind. Not blown far. She took out her comm, ordered a canvas, a check on cab pickups, and asked Calendar to come up to go through any electronics he'd left behind. "Let's see what we've got," Eve said, and pulled out her master. "That was good work with the kid, by the way," Peabody said. "Scaring him into thinking you'd throw him in jail." "Who said I wouldn't have?" Eve countered, and opened the door. Chapter 21. The absence in the room struck Eve first. The living area seemed exactly the opposite, a non-living area, lending the large bureau, a computer station minus the computer. "Check the dresser, the desk," she told Peabody, and walked to the closet. A generous space again, some built-in shelves and drawers, and empty. Not even a speck of dust left behind. "Same here." Peabody shut a drawer. She found the bathroom just as empty, including the laundry hamper. Even took his dirty underwear, assuming he had any, scrubbed out the sink, took everything he wanted, and everything fit into 2 suitcases, and cleaned up after himself. Why? Peabody wondered. If we're here, we know who he is. We don't need his prints or DNA. I don't know. Let's check the other room. And there, in the second bedroom, they found pieces of Clinton Fry. Couldn't fit this in a suitcase, Eve stated. He'd set up his own gym. Machines, weights, a heavy bag, a speed bag, a glass-fronted cold box filled with more bottled water and sports drinks, a tidy stack of white towels. Curious, she walked over to check his weight stack. Set on 300 pounds. Yeah, you're a strong bastard, Fry. He spent a lot of time in here, pumping, sweating, documenting, you bet your ass, his daily reps, times, checking himself out in the mirrors, watching his form. This is what's important to him. This is where he lives. Hands on hips, she circled. We'll have a team do a search, but he didn't leave anything behind. He's precise in his way. This equipment isn't new, but we can still try to track it to the source. Not now. Only urgent, avid need gnawing to be quelled. He set the animal in him free, and its mate met it as ferociously. Crazed, careless, they stripped each other. He drove into her, hard and deep, shoved up her knees, wanting her to take more, to take all, to take him. She cried out, the pleasure tearing through her in keen, hot claws. Her hands gripped his hips as her own pistoned in response. Fast, faster, until her cry of release came in desperate sobs, until her hands slid limply to the floor, until he choked out her name. Her breath whistled out. She wondered her raging heart didn't jump out of her chest and dance around the room. Jesus! She managed in a voice harsh with a sudden, impossible thirst. Holy cartwheeling Jesus! Well, that's an image I didn't expect. He'd collapsed on her. He meant to roll off, give her air, and he would. In a day or 2. I may really have pulled something that time. I won't be falling for that again. You've used me up. Good, because I don't think I can move. With considerable effort, he rolled off her, lay on his back, staring at the ceiling as she did. We can stay here. Forever. It's an option. Crime would overtake the city, and the financial world would collapse. We can't be responsible. I suppose not. I need water anyway. A gallon might do it. Just pour my share over me. But she had a respected judge, the NYPSD commander, and the chief of police to do that. Can you set up a holo-conference? Yes, of course. What do you have in mind? Judge Young, Whitney, Tibble. They have connections and muscle. If the feds want Alexander, they not only have to play ball, they have to move on our timetable. I think the evidence we have, the scope of it's going to be enough of a lure to get the cooperation. It's a huge bust. They agree to that, and to prosecuting Alexander for the fraud and the rest while we prosecute for the murders, everybody wins. And if they get greedy, they can't move on Alexander until they have the data. Her ace in the hole, she thought. They can't snatch the data from us until they go through the process. By that time, we'll have him. If they accept the terms, they get the glory. If they don't, they're afterthoughts. It could work. It could. Now she needed to make certain it would. Let's add Rio in. And I need you. I think that was evident in the gym. Ha ha. I also need your geek in case any of the data and the obtaining thereof needs to be spelled out. Shit. We should pull Feeney in. Maybe McNabb. Then if I leave Peabody out, she'll sulk. You make the contacts, I'll set it up. She looked down at her t-shirt. Is this a rag? On what scale? Come on. It's comfortable at-home wear and perfectly acceptable. That's right. She pointed at him. Set it up. It took more than 2 hours to report the details. She wished for coffee more than once. No! I don't have time for that fuss. You'll be saved the time of fixing your hair and makeup, be able to talk the op through with Peabody, and be completely done before you go to Central. It's efficient. Fuck efficient, she complained. Be brave, darling, he said, and patted her butt. It'll be over before you know it. It never was, she thought. But the bitch of it was suffering through it would give her more time to gear up. The things she did for the job. Chapter 22. She spent hours poring over the theater's blueprints, plugging holes where she found them, checking and rechecking possible routes, possible points of entry. If he came in, he wouldn't get out again. And if he didn't come in, she'd issue bolos and APBs. She'd sent his sketch, his ID, a written physical description to every transportation center, public and private, in the city. Despite the fact he didn't hold a valid driver's license, she did her best to cover vehicle rental agencies. He could buy a vehicle, she considered. He could just take one of Alexander's company cars. But short of putting up roadblocks on every bridge and tunnel, she couldn't shut down New York in her pursuit of one man. She weighed her options heavily on her own instincts and Mira's profile. He'd come for her. She looked forward to it. The idea of the confrontation, of taking down a killer, took her mind off, mostly, a Trina session. She told herself that personal torture was hours off, then spent so much time on link conferences, coordinating theater and NYPSD security, taking updates from her commander, she lost track for no civilian injuries and no panicked stampede. We can do this. We will do this, Eve corrected. He's used to a chain of command. Army, paramilitary, organized sports. Probability is he'll go for me first, but that doesn't mean he won't take a run at you if he sees an opening. Where's your weapon? With my stuff. We put everything in the guest room Somerset gave us. I was gonna carry it in my clutch. I got a really nice bag with this fake ruby clasp on sale at Peabody. It looks good with the dress, Peabody said stubbornly, and it's just big enough. But then I had a brainstorm. What kind of brainstorm? Well, see, the dress has a kind of draping skirt, so I opened a side seam and put in a kind of slit. She demonstrated with her hand low on her hip, and I made a thigh holster. You made a holster? It's sort of like a reinforced garter, but not very pretty. I didn't have time for pretty. I just made it last night with what I had on hand, but it'll secure my weapon, so I just have to slide my hand in the slit to get to it. You made a holster, Eve repeated, both puzzled and impressed. The making stuff, that's free ager roots. The holster? That's sort of anti-free ager, but crafty cop. Crafty cop! Peabody's eyes lit in appreciation. I could make a whole line of them under that name. Start up a police officer supply cottage industry. I saw the sketch of your dress. Where's your weapon? Thigh holster, suited for my clutch piece. I didn't make it, she added. I could use a damn slit. I don't think I could work that in your dress. I kind of scoop and bounce and a little rosebud blooming on the nape of her neck. I'm gonna get my dress on so you guys can see the whole deal. Don't forget your weapon, Eve called out as Peabody danced out of the room. Do you really think this asshole's gonna try to kill you at the premiere? Not only think, Eve said to Mavis. Hope. We're ready. Well, if he kills you, you're gonna be a fine-looking corpse. Trina stepped back, eyed Eve critically, then nodded. I am good. She gestured Eve up, pushed her to the mirror. The hair didn't look that different, Eve decided. Fussier, and it seemed to go in more directions, but in a fancy way. Probably appropriate. There was a hell of a lot of gunk on her eyes, she knew because she'd watched Trina blending and mixing and smearing. But mostly they just looked bigger and a little dramatic. Probably appropriate again. And no visible tattoos. Okay, it works. You look sexily uptown, Mavis decreed. We'll go play with Peabody while you get dressed, then Trina can do me. We'll just hook up at Central. I thought you were already done. With a rolling laugh, Mavis fluffed at her spiraling mop of pink-tipped blonde curls. This is just regular. We're going out there for this. Eve seriously couldn't stretch her imagination far enough for Mavis's definition of out there. She let herself take one long, relieved breath when she had the room to herself again. Op or not op, as far as she was concerned, the worst was over. When Rourke walked in, she was dressed in a half-crouch, one hand under the abbreviated hem of her dress. Smooth and quick, she brought her arm up, weapon in hand, and shifted into cop stance. Do that again. I'd love a little personal vid. It's not as awkward as I thought, not after some practice. Holster it, do a turn. Let's have a look. She hiked up the dress, rolled her eyes at his hum of approval, smoothed it down. Would she see how she glowed against the deep, rich color of the dress? He doubted it. For a spookily observant woman, she missed much about Eve Dallas. It skimmed down her long, lean frame from its square neck, where the teardrop diamond he'd given her lay above the subtle curve of her breasts, then floated ever so gently to mid-thigh. I need to practice getting to it in these ankle breakers. The shoes, the same deep color as the dress, sparkled like the diamond around her neck. It's doable. I'm a very lucky man. Goes without saying. It can't be said often enough. You look stunning. Wear these. He took a box out of his pocket, flipped it open to a pair of long diamond and ruby earrings. Are they new? Her accusatory tone made him laugh. They're not, no. I got them out as they work well with the dress. I'd another necklace in mind, but I think the giant's tear is exactly right, and a sentimental favorite. I'll be dressed in a minute. It's just wrong because you will be, and it took forever to make me up like this. Worth every moment. McNabb and I, and Feeney, are set, by the way. Good. She turned back to the mirror, home cams and vids. Leonardo stepped out first, offered Mavis his hand, and when she slid out, the sea of sound crested. Despite the circumstances, despite the tension, it gave Eve a boost to hear the crowd shout out Mavis's name. She's kind of a sensation, Eve observed, then shifted modes. Exiting vehicle now. Peabody to follow. At her nod, Rourke got out, offered Eve his hand. Another crest of sound, and a stunning galaxy of lights greeted her. Faces and flashes and the bright red river of carpet. Even as Eve's eyes tracked, searched out her man, the chants of her name, of Rourke's, began. She noted the route followed Peabody's intel, the river streaming straight, then spilling into an ocean of red. People in tuxedos and sharp suits, sparkling dresses, glittering jewels glided over it, smiling, laughing, posing. Clinton Fry wasn't among them. Yet. Lieutenant Dallas is another sensation, Rourke commented. It's weird, and a little creepy. On the move, she added, as they started up the red carpet. It got weirder with the shouted questions, the mic stuck in her face, the effervescent enthusiasm of the media, and the half-wild energy of the people crowded against the barricades. For what? She wondered. She walked these streets nearly every day. She'd probably, given the odds, busted at least one of the people out there cheering, calling, waving. All this frantic excitement just to catch a glimpse of a cop? It made her embarrassed for New York. When she whispered as much to Rourke, he laughed, another pose. Even with the heaters, it's cold out here, and they'll keep us as long as we'll stay. Sounds good. And right on schedule. Eve caught Peabody's eye, signaled. Of course, that generated more greetings, more photos, a round of "you look amazings." You're getting cold, Rourke commented, and in his easy, unstoppable way, guided them all into the theater. The carpet continued. The crowd was smaller here, more exclusive, and the noise more subdued. And there, she thought, was Sterling Alexander, looking smug as he sipped a cocktail and cornered Mason Roundtree, the director. She caught glimpses of Biden, of young Sachs, continued to track. Alva Mooney, her housekeeper beside her, stood off from the main group and held both of Whitestone's hands. Sympathy covered her face. Across the lobby, Candida, in all but transparent white, held court with a gaggle of reporters. I wondered if they'd come, Eve murmured to Rourke. Whitestone, Newton, and his fiancée. Rourke followed her direction. It weighs on them. You can see it. Why come here, with all this hype and hoopla? Some need people, distractions, noise, in grief.
Others need solitude and silence. But both can offer solace, he said, as he watched Alva put her arms around Whitestone. I guess that's true. Eve made her men, scattered throughout. Baxter, looking as though he'd been born in a tuxedo, chatted carelessly from all appearances with Carmichael, who shined up very well. But she saw the cop in their eyes, the alert in the set of their bodies. She saw Feeney, and she'd hear him. She'd feel him. She did both as the door quietly opened. Closer, she thought, listening to the voices in her ear, listening to her own gut, just a little closer. She turned, weapon drawn. His face didn't change, but the hand holding the stunner jerked in shock. You may be able to get off a stream before I do, but believe me, if I miss, the other 4 cops in here won't. You're going to want to lower that weapon, Fry, or you're going to get hit by multiple streams. It'll hurt like a bitch. She saw his eyes dart left, right, saw his body shift, roll onto his toes. Nowhere to run, she began. It's over. Even as she spoke, the door swung open. Eve Dallas! Candida, obviously drunk, stumbled in. I've got something to say to you, bitch! Fry had fast hands to go with his fast feet. He grabbed Candida, swung her around, effectively blocking any shots, then launched her at Eve with the spin velocity. A flailing fist slammed into her eye as the now screaming woman landed on her. You bitch! Candida shrieked it, slapping, kicking. You ripped my dress! Cursing, Eve shoved, pushed Candida into a heap, then gained her feet. Streams blasted as Fry dodged and weaved through the theater. On another curse, Eve kicked off the damn shoes and sprinted after him. Fast, she thought, but goddammit, she'd be faster. Her right eye watered freely, blurring her vision and throbbing like a bad tooth. He veered off from the exit as she or one of the others glanced a stream off his shoulder. He returned fire, wildly, leaped onto the stage like a receiver leaping for a long pass. She leaped right after him, set, fired. This one hit him square in the back. Paid you. I know he told you what to do. Show me you're not stupid. Show me you're not going to just sit there and let him hang everything on you. She leaned in. He doesn't have the right to make you the patsy. He's the one who thinks you're stupid, but we both know he gave the orders. You just did the job. You just followed those orders. He says, take the woman, find out what she knows, what she did. Take what she's got, then shut her up for good. Get rid of her. I decide what to do and how. Okay. Face impassive, she sat back again. You think for yourself. I get that. How much did he pay you to take her, to question her, to kill her? 25,000. I said cash. He tries to make it less, tries to string it out like always. I said cash. Now, I'm not stupid. That's right. Moron. Like always? Had he hired you to get rid of somebody before? When he said nothing, she gave him a mild prod. It goes to pattern, see? Alexander's pattern. Getting other people to do the work, trying to go cheap, thinking he's so much smarter than you are. He just pays for me to mess them up. Give them a pounding, break an arm maybe. Then Dickinson was the first time Alexander hired you to murder anyone. It costs more, twice more. I told him. I took her stuff after, took her coat. Nice coat. So it's a mugging. You wouldn't know different if that asshole Milo hadn't told you. You made it look like a mugging, and that was good thinking. They were stupid, Fry. Having you do it in that place, a place that connected to Alexander, that's not your fault. Then there's Parzari, and she walked away toward her office.
She stopped, surprised to see Pope sitting on a bench in the corridor. He got to his feet. "Lieutenant, what are you doing here?" "Sterling, I was told. His lawyer said he won't see me." "Why do you want to see him?" "He's my brother. Whatever he's done, he's my brother." "You knew. At least some of it, didn't you?" "I didn't know about the killings. I swear to you. I thought, after Jake, I wondered, but it didn't seem possible. I did know, think, suspect. I'm honestly not sure. About him, possibly, misappropriating funds. I would have helped him. I would have tried. He's always shut me out. I always try to open the door." Tears swam into his eyes. "But he always shuts me out." "You can't help him, Mr. Pope. Your company is going to need help, and a lot of it. Your mother helped build that company. Maybe the thing you can do is look after it now. Fix what's wrong." "He didn't need the money. He didn't need it. He didn't need to do any of this." "Sometimes it's not about need, and all about want. I'm sorry for your trouble, Mr. Pope. Go home. Go home to your family. It's the best thing you can do right now." "Yes. You'll need to talk to me again." "I will, and the feds will, but not tonight." All right. All right, I'll go home, but if he changes his mind, if he asks for me, we'll let you know." Eve watched him go, weighed down by sorrow. "It's a sad thing." Rourke stood just inside the bullpen. "He's loyal to something that doesn't exist, and he knows it, but he can't not be loyal. I hope he gets over it. His worthless, greedy, murderous half-brother is going away, far and long. Did you get what you needed from Fry? All of it, after he decided to talk. He's a little off. Maybe too many hits on the field, or maybe he's just wired wrong. His ex-coach said he got so he couldn't follow the plays, couldn't or didn't listen to them. They cut him loose. But he knows right and wrong. He knows what he did, and he's proud he thought of how to do it in each case, how he negotiated the fee. He's not crazy, not mentally defective. He's just mostly empty." He stepped to her, gently touched his lips to her injured eye. "Let's put some ice on that. It's not that bad. Let's see." He brought out his PPC, keyed in. "Here's something that's making the media and internet rounds." He turned it around so on screen she saw herself, eye already going purple, smiling at Rourke as he smiled down at her, hand on her cheek, knuckles raw. "Damn it! They took pictures? They're taking pictures when we're dragging a killer away? I like it." She started to sneer, took another look. "You know what? You're right. It's us. Absolutely us. And I like it, too. I want a copy. I want to put it in a frame for my desk." "Do you now?" "Home office," she qualified. "But yeah, it's us. It's who we are, and I like who we are. So do I." "Ice for the eye. And the knuckles." "And," he agreed. "We'll tend each other in the car. Is it for home, then, or the party?"
She thought about her bruised eye, the lateness of the hour, thought of the picture of the two of them, who they were. Fuck it! Let's party! We hope you have enjoyed our presentation of Calculated in Death by J.D. Robb. Copyright 2013 by Nora Roberts. Performed by Susan Erickson. Directed by David Colaci. Performance copyright 2012 by Brilliance Audio. All rights reserved. For further information concerning this program or other Brilliance Audio titles, please call the following toll-free number: 1-800-222-3225, or visit our website at www.brillianceaudio.com. No part of this recording may be played for an audience or reproduced in any form. It may not be streamed, downloaded, broadcast, or copied without written permission. Address all inquiries to Brilliance Audio, P.O. Box 887, Grand Haven, Michigan, 49417.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.